And then I'm going to live to Facebook.
Lighting up some sage in here. Yes. Light a candle too. Over here, get some water in case my mouth gets dry.
All right, tell me when you're ready.
I am ready.
Okay, everybody look good?
Everybody looks great.
Everybody look good?
We look great.
Everybody look good?
We look better than good.
Okay, I just need a little more color, then I'll be good. Ready? All right, there you go.
Okay, lips.
I need a little
That's
dark. There you
everything.
go. Now I can see them. All right.
Yes.
Okay, and we're off. Going live. Just preparing to live stream, says the meeting's being live streamed. I'm gonna track it on the phone.
Yay.
I'm gonna track it.
Little fan going. Can you hear any feedback? Like, I put a
No, I
fan.
can't hear your fan.
Going.
But
Good.
if you have Facebook open, do you have Facebook open?
But if you have
Facebook open. Nope, hold on. There we go. It was mine. Mine started to play.
I went straight to Zoom.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Oh, here we are.
Yay.
I am
June the 30th.
You know what, Beverly? Maybe we should start with a sound of some kind before we even jump into the introductions.
I got my sound bowl right here.
Let's do it.
Got some incense, some sage burning. Ooh. It's burning good now.
If you were there, come on in, say hello. We are just starting off with the sacred sound bowl. Do you know what key that's in?
I believe this is F.
Beautiful. If you're there, say hello. We're just warming up the space.
Yes.
Warming up the space.
I am. I am love. Peace. Divine. I am the people's at.
Say again.
Where's the people's at?
They're coming. They're coming.
Yeah,
We just
there's
go and they pull
Tara.
up. Oh, you can see people? I can't see people.
I just saw it was a message coming in on my message. It shows up on my computer.
Well, I'm going to introduce us. I'm going to introduce the conversation. We are modeling for you a way that you can create sacred space. My name is Dr. Giavanni Washington, and this is the sixth edition of the Black Goddess Lives. This is our year-long series dedicated to amplifying the voices of Black women from around the world. And so today we're here to talk to Queen Mother, Elder, she has like 97 monikers, Beverly Brewster, who is going to share with us. When I was thinking about this card, the Sacred Space card from the Black Goddess Within Oracle deck, I was like, who can I bring on? Who can I invite to talk about sacred? And literally didn't even finish the question, and I was like, Beverly Brewster. So I called Mama Beverly. It's like, Mama Beverly, how would you feel about coming to share your divine light with the people? And of course she agreed, and here she is. So I will let her, actually, I want to introduce her. I want to read some of her bio to you, which I typically don't do, but it was so juicy that I thought it would be really important for you all to understand the layers that she's bringing with her. I'm going to just read everything you actually sent me today. Is that okay? You okay with that, Mom? Okay, excellent.
Do it.
She highlighted some stuff, but I'm going to read the things before and after the highlighted. Says and I believe this is actually only a part of her bio, so just go with the journey. In May 2002, Beverly was propelled into a new consciousness after being diagnosed with breast cancer, weighing in at 450 pounds. She began to use meditation, a pen, and her journal, recording thoughts and feelings that opened her to forgive herself and become accountable for her own health and wellness. In her own words, I learned to love myself. She considered this a new beginning and another chance to live her life fully. This journey represented her new and improved state of mind post-diagnosis after recalibrating her spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical bodies to a state of wellness. Transmutation with 3 exclamation points. Then it says she became a volunteer in nonprofit organizations promoting cancer awareness through music and storytelling, such as becoming a pink ambassador for the Susan Komen Foundation, Relay for Life, and the American Cancer Society. She served on the board of Women of Color Breast Cancer Support Group as parliamentarian, and she is a member of Shine Mawasi, a performance-based female percussion and drumming alliance, and a presiding Queen Mother of Sankofa Square in Leimert Park's Little Africa. I'm so sorry, excuse me. There's a pollen in the air. Beverly is also a contributing author. Her story, The Best Is Yet to Come, is published in From Tribulation to Triumph, Breast Cancer Survivor Stories. This is fantastic. So, and you know, it actually goes on. So, because Mama Beverly has decades of experience and wisdom to share with us, and I literally was like, "Who can I?" Because I was like, "Who can I? Who can I? Like, who will this be an interesting conversation with?" And so, Mama Beverly answered the call. Um, and before I ask you the first question, Mama Beverly, I would like to just read the back of this card. So, because they were talking about this, the magic of the sacred dimension. And so this is the Sacred Space card from the Black Goddess Within Oracle deck. And it says on the back, these are the churches from Lalibela, Ethiopia. You are being asked to sit in or create a sacred space so that you may get centered, be clear, and remain open to receive your next creative inspiration. If you don't have access to a space that is typically used for sacred or ritual purposes, you may temporarily dedicate any available space, transforming it into a metaphysical container appropriate for sacred work. And the call to action is for you to powerfully curate a sacred container. And so, with that, Mama Beverly, and I believe that your story will begin to unfold as we have this conversation. Tell me why sacred space. I mean, we heard about a little bit about your breast cancer journey in your introduction. Tell me about why sacred space is so important to healing and to healing work.
Well, first of all, I want to just thank you for allowing me to join you today. It's a pleasure and an honor to always talk about something that's near and dear to my heart. So that particular diagnosis propelled me into new thoughts and new thinking, which made me go inside of my own self. So here's the news, and here's the big secret. The sacred space is us. It lives inside of us. And once we become that thing, everywhere we go, we take it with us. Speaking of sacred space, I started my first sacred space in a closet. When my children were young, I didn't have a bedroom or anywhere to put it. So I took a TV tray and a chair, which I let no one sit in, and I kind of stuck it in the back closet of each day. I would light my candle in there. I would do my prayers in there. I would do my meditation in there. So I'm saying that to let people know that you don't have to have a dedicated space. Now that my children are grown, I have a whole room to myself with all of my sacred things in it. But we can start simple, and I think that's one of the things that we should learn, the lesson of elderhood. You don't have to have all these fancy bells and whistles. And not only for the elders, but for the youngsters too, as we're rearing our children into this next generation. It's not necessary to have the latest or the greatest, but what we need is consistency in our practices and what we're doing. When we have a safe space, that's an anointed space. That's a space that is consecrated, and we associate it with something that's supreme, something that is excellent beyond our imagination. So anytime I come into my space, I am in the sacred space. And what happens when we go into a sacred space? We get signals, like when we see a firecracker go off, when we get a signal, when we see certain things. So when I go into the sacred space, my body reacts in a different way. When I light my incense, when I do the candle, when I begin, my body takes a certain posture, when I begin to take certain breathing techniques. So all of these things are important to our sacred space, and they're important to us because we are multi-dimensional. That part that I outlined in the paperwork, meaning we're more than just flesh. So inside of this body, which in biblical and Christianity terms is called a temple, and I wonder, why is it called the temple? It wasn't just called them. Our indigenous people considered our bodies as a temple too, because we are a recreation of the one that created us. So when we go into ourselves, that's where the work is done. That's where we get understanding. That's where we get our clarity. That is where we become still and we begin to listen as opposed to talking, especially in the climate of today's situation in the world. There's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of things being said, but in the silence, we gain power. And so that's what we want to do by having a sacred space. First, in our own physical way, and then we can begin to align our other bodies. We can align our minds, which is a mental body. You don't see my mind, it's right here. We can align our emotions. We can align our spiritual selves so that when we come out of our sacred space into the world, that we act in a way that is sacred, that people see the light, that people understand that you are someone who can assist or support them, because people need that right now. So sacred space is very important. You take it everywhere you go.
You know, you were talking, and I didn't ask you about safe topics, so I'm going to ask you now. Are you okay talking about the Roe v. Wade overturn?
I'm comfortable talking about. So let's talk about the feminine divine
Well,
herself.
this is where I'm going with that. Go ahead.
Yeah. Um, First of all, I feel that a woman is something sacred. We talk about sacred spaces. We talk about a womb. I say this is womb business. If you don't have a womb, then you cannot understand what is happening with someone who does have a womb. You can empathize and sympathize, but you will never know until you let an 8-inch head come out of your womb, until you gestate something for, yeah, that's enough to shutter anybody. You know, I have seen grown men run out of birthing rooms. So we have to think about who we are. And even my experience with the quote unquote diagnosis drove me to a space to know that I get to choose for my own body. I'm not saying if it's good or if it's bad, because we have both principles within the universal presence. I'm saying I get to choose. You do not get to choose what I do with my body. You do not get to choose how I gotta feel and what I have to take and what I have to do.
My question was less about that and more about, I mean, the thing that I'm curious about, what came up for me as you were talking about sacred space. And one of the things that I say is that our body is our first altar. It's like, I think our body is our first sacred space.
Yes,
And given that the overturn of this thing has been really quite traumatic for a wide swath of people, and it is actually directly related to this sacred space that people who have wombs have. Just I'm just curious about what are some of the ways that I just feel like we've been in an onslaught, right? We've been a black the woman, the female body, the black female body. Like there's just been this attack after attack after attack. I mean, for hundreds of years, it's not new, but if I just feel like it seems very pernicious and
yes.
intense in these last several years. And I'm just wondering what how can we, like, I think it's important that we create the sacred spaces, if it's an altar that we're praying at by ourselves or to our ancestors or to whomever, or to create space with other women, right, or other people. It doesn't have
Right.
to be just people with wombs, but just create spaces where we can actually go and be hold and be held,
Yes.
especially in the light of all of this. I was on a coaching call earlier today, and like 3 people said, I'm just so exhausted, and it's just from looking at the news, right? Just from the not just, but like the war or the police violence or the overturn, and now they're coming for gay marriage and also contraception, and like it's just this never ending assault on our bodies. And how do we, I think it's critical that we have these spaces, whether we create them or we go to them or we collaborate and make them, whatever it is that we have these. It was an unformed thought, but that's what I, when you were talking about it and you kept saying the things that are going on now, and I think we actually have to name the thing and say, there was a huge assault on women that's going to disproportionately impact women of color that happened this week. And I'm hoping that even this conversation is a sacred space for some, right?
One of the things I'm thinking of is, as opposed to us looking to our leaders to direct us, that we need to become more proactive in directing our leaders. You know
That's
what
right.
I'm saying? We're changing. The world is ever evolving. So one of my initiations into elderhood is teaching me that I have more behind me than I may have in front of me. So my work is more urgent right now. My concern is that the future generation doesn't know the things that I know, that we are able to give them a leg up, just like our ancestors gave us a leg up. Like my mom didn't have a car, she didn't drive, we walked. So now kids feel like, I can walk. So that's a sacred space because a parent has to give up something. They have to work in order to achieve these things. So we have to start within our own selves, within our own families and our own households. And we cannot be afraid. We have to gain the strength. We use tools, just like my dad was a carpenter. I love that story. And I love to be around him because he would hand me tools. And in this life, we have to gain tools. The tools of meditation give us clarity. The tools of tapping into sacred space give us understanding. So that way, when we move into the world, listening to the news, watching every headline, talking to people all day about the same thing is going to put you in a place of frenzy. It's going to put you in a place of fear. We have been decolonized on this planet. And so these are the things that are used to distract us from getting ourselves together, creating our own banks, creating our own stores, creating our own food sources and supplies. So as opposed to listening to what they're doing, my recommendation for myself, this is how I work for me, is to go into my sacred space and ask myself, what can I do? It's not just about saying a prayer. Prayer is talking. But when I meditate, I'm listening to the universe. That one that created all things created me. That's my mama and my daddy. And I am a divine being. I am an oracle. I am a goddess. Whatever you want to call yourself, he, she, or it, that's who you are because you came from that stardust. You came from that universal presence. You came from that power that put every sentient thing on this planet. So we are powerful. We just have to get away from the things that are distracting us. They said the secret is inside of us. So when we're running around, we're not still. We're thinking about this, we're acquiring that, we're trying to get things. We're beautiful on the outside and we're broken on the inside. So we start to build ourselves and we start to build. This is the thing about a woman. When she's happy, her children are happy, her mates are happy, and the community is happy. When the woman is unhappy, this is a problem for everyone because even in our bodies, our subconscious mind is feminine. It doesn't have a gender. Guess what it does? It keeps our heart pumping all the time. Do you tell your heart to pump? No, you just lay down and do you tell your blood? No. So this thing of being divine is not only in the heavens and in the earth, it's in me, it's in you, it's in every divine being. So it's what we choose to do with it. We talking about sacred spaces and the magic of these dimensions. So the magic is me being in alignment with them, putting myself in alignment with my physical body, putting myself in alignment with my mental and spiritual bodies, being aligned with the universe. Being okay with Mother Earth. That sacred card is showing us all things natural, all things beautiful. The mother of life created all that. Guess who that is? That's us, reincarnated. So those are the places that we start. And that's how we impact others, by first impacting ourselves. And then we move forward with strength because we already know, bam, we plant the seed right here in the mind and we call that thing forth with intention. And then we do some work, right? We get out there, whatever your work is. Some people are in front, some people are covert, some people are online, some people are in the trenches, some people are in government. We need all of those things and we need to begin building them so we can return to that from which we came. We were the kings and the rulers and queens of this nation, of the original Pangea, where you see one mass of land. And when you look into those tombs, you not only see male kings, you see queens as well, especially in Kush and Egypt. So this is what we came from. That's divine. So in my mind and in the mind of people who think in ways of indigenous people, that's what we return to, because that is the place of happiness, of joy, of peace, abundance. That's where everything, all our needs get met. We don't have to do anything because it's a universal presence and it's a law. It's a receptivity and a giving. If I'm giving all of this, guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get back. I'm gonna receive. I'm a conduit.
I love that. I love that we're a conduit. You got some comments. Let me read you the comments. Candace Grant says heart and prayer hands. She
Yes.
repeated that I am a divine being.
Yes.
And then Panda says alignment. Yes.
You heard me?
Yes. Yes.
Not too
yes.
much to the left, not too much to the right. Those are universal principles as well. If we're always in the light, we don't ever know the darkness. We get too much light, we're blinded. So what I remind myself is scoot over a little bit. If you're being too hard, maybe I need to soften. And this is a daily thing that you can do just by sitting in meditation and being a watcher of your own self. I don't need the government to watch me.
Right.
I watch myself. I don't need anybody to watch me. And if we all govern we don't need the police. We don't need the police. Yeah, some other people might need them, but I don't need them, because I'm gonna tell myself, I think that wasn't cool. Maybe I need to talk to this person. How can I resolve? That's the word I'm looking for. Because it's not about, people talk about generational curses. That's not what it is. It's that we don't attend to that thing, that tendency, that genetic thing, those words that we speak. We don't attend to that. We just spew them out. Energy and vibration. Energy has a vibration. Everything is moving. Everything is vibrating.
Yep.
And so I was saying earlier to Dr. G how I've been vibrating like for a couple of days, the excitement of it. When we hear a sonic boom, we don't know that it's coming. But when it gets faster than the speed of light, it will make a great boom and everything will shake. So this is the same thing. And even a blade of grass has an energy, a flower. That's why we look at it, an animal, every being. So we're putting something out there. The question is, what am I putting out there? And also the question is, what do I want to receive? And whatever I'm putting out there, guess what? That's what's coming back to me. That's the unfoldment of my life. If I'm putting dark things out, dark things gonna come back to me. And that's okay as far as it will happen. But I want just as much light as I do darkness. I want more light because I want to put a chip in the ice.
What? What do you mean? What is it?
Okay, so I'm old
metaphors on me.
Do you remember the blocks of ice that you used to put in your refrigerator? My mom used to have an ice pick and we would chip away ice. Ice would be delivered and even we would have hot ice. So I want to chip away some of that ice.
Wait, what's hot ice?
Hot ice is when you keep things, the ice is very hot, it's sticky, it comes with the smoke, and you can keep things very cold with it when you're traveling.
Dry ice?
Dry ice.
Okay.
Hot ice when I was coming
hot
up.
Ice, that's amazing. Go on. Tell
because if you touch it, your skin will come off. It will be a reaction like something hot. So we called it hot ice.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, so I want to chip those things away. So in order to get rid of that is some work that we have to do in order to make that happen. I can't say it's a curse. I can't say that. I have to do something about it. I have to, if it's something physical, I have to overcome that by doing my physical work, going to the gym, eating different foods if I don't want to have the same diseases that my ancestors had. That's not a curse. That's me not attending. Let me say it different.
Opportunity.
I need to choose. I need to choose that I want to really, and that's what my wake up call was. I choose life. I choose me. I choose to love me by doing the things that's going to keep me well, because healthy is wealthy.
Ashe. Ashe. So I want to bring this back to the sacred space and your journey. So I mean, I read your bio. I've heard your story. I've heard you speak about it before. That for you, the change was the diagnosis of breast cancer, and I'm wondering if there was, how do I say that? Like, there's something that's very catastrophic and big about breast cancer, right? But I'm wondering
Right.
what was the tiny shift, because you had how many decades of living whatever other way you were living before you went this way. Like, so what was the thing? I know it was the breast cancer, but underneath it, what was the shift that said, oh, I have to, it was, it's like your determination completely shifts at that point.
I when you're saying that, I'm thinking about even today, like how we're distracted.
Mm,
I feel like I was numb, you know what
yeah,
I mean, to
yeah.
everything. I'm working on getting my degrees. I'm working on moving myself up the professional ladder. I'm working on a relationship. I've got children. But one thing I wasn't connected to was my spiritual self. And I was not in my spiritual practices. So what happened was I I remember looking out the mirror the day that I shaved my head, and I said, why is this happening to me? So it was a mental shift and a spiritual shift. And that alignment that I'm talking about, it started to communicate. I started going in. That's when I started meditating morning and night. That's when I started asking myself questions about my future. What did I want to do? How did I get to this place? I had to evaluate myself and say, these you're doing things that are unhealthy, not
Mm,
just physically, but mentally, spiritually. I had totally disconnected. My dad was a minister. I left the church, the same Christian thing. But really, I became a seeker as a result of that. And then I learned that what we were reading, that's not it.
yeah.
I started studying metaphysical studies, the power of the mind, uh, um, different authors, Ernest Holmes. We looked at the 12 powers. I started looking at ancient wisdom, Sefer Yetzirah, books in the Bible that were not even canonized, and reading in different languages to see that this story is not the story that the ancient ones. So that kind of lifted me up, and it made me think differently. It changed me in terms of how I shifted myself in all of these multi-dimensional bodies. That was my wake-up call, because I'm just thinking it's just this big old body that I'm tearing it around. But no, that wasn't it. That was my key to understanding it's more to me. And those are the things that are out of alignment as well as my body. So my shift was, let me get myself together. And I'm grateful for that wake up. I
Yeah.
don't even call it, we call things bad, but I think it was just, like you said, a shift in my life. It was time for me to stop living numb and numbing myself with food. It was time for me to wake up that there's something other, and that I needed to be happy and I deserved. And that whole feminine divine thing, oh, that really made me sit up, make my chest stick out, because I did not realize that. But when I did realize that, I moved differently. The way that I carried myself created other people to understand and to respect me, as well as me giving them respect back. So
Ashe.
that was the consciousness. And then, boom, this thing started happening. Like things that I had thought of years ago, things that I had planted in my mind, my deeper dreams, things that I really desired, that I was afraid, worried about my body, how it looked, and all of those things. I had to let that go. So that's where the love came in. And having that experience taught me to look at things differently. My eyes were opened. In African spirituality, we say that there's two eyes in the back of your head. You have four eyes, but some people say the third eye or your chakras, whichever you choose to say, knowing that those things open up. knowing that your body is in a better place, that you can actually feel your heart and
Yeah.
your kidneys and all of those things, just created a whole new life for me. It gave me actual years on my life. It added years to my life where I'm going to go into my next decade next year. So I am just like, I wake up and I'm like, yay, what is it to do today? What will
And so
be
you
my
are, I
task?
mean, you are a walking sacred space, is what I'm hearing you say.
Yes, we
So
walk it, we talk it, and we live it. We
I love it.
become it. We become that thing itself.
You mentioned some of the studies that you've done. Can you talk about some of your other, you have lots of modalities in which you work. Can you talk about some of your other healing work?
So, one of the things that really came deep in my heart was the sound, energy, and vibration. You know, the intonation of my body temple, the vibration and the energy. So, for example, somewhere in the world right now, there's some people in a temple chanting, humming. You know, in my past life, I was in a Buddhist temple, um, and I know that we were there chanting. I've been to other temples. I've been in Catholic churches. All indigenous people synchronize, and that was a wake up call for me that I could tap into those powers. So one of the things I did uh, in my recovery was write and journal and create spoken word, create tunes along with other musicians, because sound has an energy and a vibration. So the creative powers, we hear this, let there be, let there be. That was a word, that was a sound that initiates something. So that is what I started tapping into. When I would pray, I would intone. You know what I'm saying? I would just, if I'm feeling out of alignment, I begin an intonation. I begin a I am. I affirm. I'm telling myself this is what I am, what I want to be, not what I don't want to be, not what I'm afraid of, what I need, what I'm looking for, what I'm claiming, and I'm affirming it. So initially, when we started, I played the sound bowl and intoned I am. I will do that in other languages as well, other languages that are sacred, other languages that came before Christianity came, because that's where power is, and it's in synchronicity. So I tap into that. That sonic boom energy, I tap into that. That Tesla energy, I tap into that. And that's where the mystery is. But it's really not a mystery. The only reason it is a mystery is because most people choose to not look inside of themselves. We look to, things, but we don't look in here, and we go deep. So through meditation, I was able to go deeper to examine who I was, and who I was wanting and desiring to be. So that was who I wanted to be. When I got clear about it, that's not what I was doing. So my work was to, okay, now you got to get healthy. Now you have to get healthy so that you can have the energy to do the work it is that you're seeing in your mind. I've already planted seeds. When I was little, I told somebody I wanted to be a missionary. I didn't really want to be that. I just knew that in that genre that would be the work. But now I am a missionary. I use sound, I use light. Right now, the incense is burning, the candle is going. So my body, when I see and feel certain things, I'm automatically going to go into that mode. I'm going to get still. When I do a certain type of breath, I'm going to become still. I'm going to go into the space of that sacred space that we're talking about. And that is the magic. The magic is in me, and it's in you. It's not in the heavens. It's not in the Hades.
Yeah.
It's not in Hawaii or in a volcano, although it is in those places because it's sentient beings. And even Luna, the moon, guess who she is? Guess who she is? She is feminine and she is divine. So if I'm a king and my parents is kings and queens, and even the beings that were created thousands and millions of years ago, are just like me, then what am I? I got to talk to myself and I got to lift myself up from my bootstraps. My grandmama used to say, I shall not be moved like the tree that's standing by the water. You know what I'm saying? I got to
Sing
think
it.
that.
Sing it.
I got to think that I shall not be moved. Hallelujah. Shall not, I shall not be moved. Boom, boom, boom. Shall not, I shall not be moved, just like the tree that's standing by the waters. I shall not be moved.
Ooh, takes me back to my
Hallelujah.
Baptist days. Okay.
Yes. And then I gotta put on my walking shoes and my big girl pants and get on out there and do the work.
Ashe.
That's
Ashe.
how we do it. One step, one day at a time. It's not the end till we get to the end.
Inika says, this feels like church. Thank you. That
It is.
and
It
she typed that
is.
before you started singing. I love that.
Ashe.
It's happening. It's happening. It's happening.
Happening up in here. Can you feel it?
I feel it. We are feeling it. You were the right. I was like, sacred space. Oh, Beverly. We'll talk to Beverly. This is, if this is, how do I want to say this? I feel like sacred space, you're helping me configure, I guess, rethink about what I think sacred space is. So we've been in this house for about 5 years, and there in our old house, I had a room and like a patio. I had a space, and in this house, I didn't have that until earlier last year. Well, we remodeled the garage, so it's now my office, or my sacred. We call it the portal, actually, and
Yes.
it's just so important to recognize that I don't need four walls and a desk to have a sacred space. And I'm a big proponent of like just a little space will help you out, but to remember that my body is the first sacred space, and to recognize, like, you haven't mentioned this, but you said numbing with food, and I think we actually have an epidemic of numbing with social media.
Ashe.
you know? And I think so many of us, myself included, wake up, we scroll, doom scroll, whatever. We scroll. We're on the Facebook. There's so many platforms, billions of people are on social media, coveting other people's created
Everything.
realities, right? And so there's a way in which we are dimming our own potential and dimming our own cauterizing our own growth, right? We're stopping it, we're staunching it. It's like, nope, you're just going to stay right here in this little box, wishing you were doing something else or living some other way, or jumping out of the plane, or floating in that river, or whatever the thing is that you're looking at on social media that you want to be doing, right? So there's, I think, in so many, it's soul sucking. And so to have this really visceral reminder that you are your first sacred space and that you are your first altar, and to know that I really don't think that people, I feel like there's such a large section of the population that doesn't recognize that they have a direct connection to source, spirit, God, universe, whatever you want to call it, right? And even if they do, know what, they're still on the phone like, how do I? And they're ignoring, or they're not nurturing that connection, or not nurturing that portal that is going to be the connection. Anyway, I think this is a really important and critical reminder, and a first step to healing, right? Which is to almost make a commitment to stop numbing. Whatever the numbing agent is, right? And I think that might look different for everybody, but social media certainly is there for, and even our young kids, who don't know how to communicate not on social media, right? So even the way that they're being brought up, and I mean, Sterling, my child, is 11, and he might be like one of the only kids I know who doesn't have a phone, right? Because we're like, no,
Yes.
you can't have one yet, no.
There's,
But they're being raised to numb, right? And they're being raised to have these truncated conversations. They're being raised to wish they were somewhere else, and
be something
and
or
be
someone
something
else.
else. And it's really, really sad. So this is, I think, a particular reminder to those of us who are in the lives of young people, to remind them that they are sovereign, sacred beings,
Ashe.
right? And that they
Yes.
there's so much more than what's on the screen in front of them. I don't know where that's going, but it came through. Whew.
It's a very pertinent part. Let's talk about radiation. I had radiation as part of my treatment, and
Mm,
I had what you call dose radiation. It broke my skin open to the point where I couldn't put on clothes. Now
mm,
you're holding an electronic device that has radiation hours and hours, and we're giving it to our kids.
yeah.
I worked in public education over 30 years. We got kids had ticks from playing games all day long, kids on medication. So it's very important. And even in foreign countries, those kids want the phone so bad that they do things that are not righteous just to get a phone. So what do we want to do? And we realize our ancestors were on a real plantation. The plantation that we're on doesn't have the columns.
Yep.
But that phone is part of the colonization process
Ashe.
because it keeps you distracted.
Yeah.
Because what could I do if I spent that hour and a half doing something that's going to help my kid to learn? That's going to help my kid to be a better adult. That's going to help my child know how to help a senior or somebody that's in distress or how to feed, any little thing. Everything is building. It's a
Yep.
building
Yep.
block. It's DNA. And if we're all the time, people run into cars on the phone, they run into you, they're walking. I've been in events where everybody's walking with their head down.
Yep.
This is not humanity. This is not what we're created for.
My cousin fell in a
Stars
manhole.
don't look at the phone. The stars do what they do. They bright shine. You're not on the internet.
Right.
I mean, I go on, I'm not I want to say it in a way that people don't feel judged, but we really just have to take a look at our actions and be accountable for them and know that when we look at our children, that's the consequences of our actions.
Yeah, I think the internet and cell phones and computers, they're like anything else. It's a tool. It's like a hammer. It's a tool, but if you use the hammer in the wrong way, it's going to create
Yes.
damage.
Just like fire,
Like anything
electricity,
else. Right.
anything. So we
Right.
need to monitor. And even on when you have cable or these phones, you can monitor them. When my son, he's now late 20s, going to 30s, I would put a timer on the computer, on the phone. You don't have access because you know what? I need you to know how to count this money and to get your business straight before you over here making some stuff up on, I'm not going to say no names.
Okay, wait. I'm bringing us back. I'm bringing us back to sacred space because you're about to go into another realm over there. Um. Well, let me check. Let me check and see if there's any questions. Audience
Okay.
out there, people who are watching, and if you are watching the replay, let us know that you're watching the replay. Do y'all have any questions? We've got some people watching, but I don't know if there's any questions. So it takes about 45 seconds for the
For the
responses to come
question to
through.
come in. Okay,
But
gotcha.
I feel like this was actually a really good. We kind of went around the world because I think the word sacred means a lot of things. I think the word dimension means a lot of things. I think when you put them together, you can get a lot of different. We started with the sound bowl and sort of like the environment that you're in, and then we went to the womb space, which is sacred. Then we went to the body, like everybody is a sacred space. I mean, just imagine how different the world would be if people woke up every morning, like everybody woke up every morning and was like, "Oh, this is good morning, sacred space. Good morning." Like let me feed you like you're a sacred space.
Yes.
Let me wash you like you're a sacred space. Let me walk you like you're a
Right.
sacred space. And how then sacred spaces interacting with one another, like how different the world would be. Oh, that's delightful. That made me a little happy. It made me a little
Telling
happy.
you. I'm telling you. And it's not as hard as we think it is, right? It's just one step, but just like a baby walking, we just take one step at a time. At first, I would have only meditating 10 minutes here, 10 minutes. Shoot, I could stay in there like an hour. I could stay in there all day if I need to because I find peace there. Sometimes we think of stuff as good luck or whatever, like you're driving and you hear don't go that way. No, that's the sacred part of you saying, hold on, wait a minute, I'm feeling something. It's telling you something. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? I remember right before COVID happened, I live in the county and I kept seeing these emergency vehicles doing these drills.
Hmm.
I call it the pandemic. They were out there planning while we sleeping and on the phone. They planning what they gonna do and how they gonna lock us up and make our taxes go up higher, make everything, you know what I'm saying? Whatever it is, the colonization way of colonizing us, that's what was going on.
Yeah.
So those are the things that we want to be aware of, and we want to fine tune those things. Some people are seers, some people are healers, some people are hearers, some people are they
Dreamers.
vibration on the energy. Yeah. So whatever your gift is, you can go inside of yourself. If you don't know it, ask yourself, ask your ancestors, ask your mama now. One thing that I recall, I took a course with you and we did this kind of mapping thing. And when I started looking across those things that were in common, there was always some music, always some type of sound, a chanting. Those
Mm.
are high forms of praise in any spiritual path. If you're singing, if you're chanting, if you're using your mouth, if you're saying, speaking, and you're moving, these are high forms of praise that are going to connect you and tap you into your powers. So those are the things that we want to cultivate. Meditation is going to cultivate your energy vibration, and you can feel, I mean, you stop numbing yourself, like you said. You stop being full of the news and all these things that's out there to distract us. We're trying to figure out why it's happening. Don't worry about that. Worry about how we're going to have generational wealth when we're not here no more. Where's our kids going to live? Where's our kids going to shop when they close down the grocery store?
We're not here no more. Where's our kids gonna live?
Sorry.
So no, it's okay. Like
The wrong
this
button.
is the internet. This is the internet. Like we good. So
Christy
it,
Ramirez says that she loves the healing journey Sister Bev is on.
yay! Hi, Christy.
That's lovely. Well, I feel like so we've been on almost an hour, but I
Yay.
feel like we got some really great nuggets, and you and I could also talk forever.
Right?
But this notion of this is really interesting. Like this platform is not for what's about to happen, but I'm going to say it anyway because I need to say it. This notion of numbing, right? Numbing as a block to the sacred space. I feel like we need to, I don't say need or should, but I think there's an invitation here to examine ourselves and examine our lives and identify the numbing agents, right?
I agree.
And then honor your sacred space of self and reduce the engagement with those numbing agents.
I agree.
So I don't.
That's a
I don't know
great
what
place
that
to
looks
start.
like for people, but that's what I'm hearing happening in this conversation.
You can
Or
do
maybe
that.
I'm projecting and it's just happening in my head. I don't know.
No, it's actually a ritual. I call it a ritual.
Say it. Tell
And
us more.
you know, so one of the things I do is I tap into the sentient beings, whether it be a stone, you know, but I like to tap into the moon because she is divine.
Ashe.
So in the time of, and I like to have sacred circles with women during that time so that we can tap into and ask ourselves these questions. We set some intentions and then we begin the work. So just as the planet is rotating and everything is moving in synchronicity, we get to doing the work. And then when the full moon arises, we go back and this is the time to examine our manifestations. So we create our own rituals. We don't just have to go to a church. I'm calling it a ritual because that's what it is. I wake up every morning and I do my prayers and I do my meditation. I go to the pool and I work out. You know, I get online and I do a Tai Chi class or whatever it is I need to do to continue having my health and my wealth. So we're creating rituals all the time by what we're doing. Is the ritual this good or is the ritual not good for us? So that is the transmutation, the ability for us to do our magic and to change it. And the magic is not out there. The magic is right here.
I love
and
it.
right here, we plant it right here.
And I think it's really important that people remember that ritual is your daily rhythm, right? These words have the same root to them in Latin, ritual and rhythm.
Yes.
Yeah, ritual and rhythm. So yes, we're creating our daily, in our sacred space, we're create daily rituals by what we're doing. And but there's choice and agency inside of those things after there's awareness. Oh, I think that's the invitation, Beverly. I think that's the
invitation. And in July the 28th, I'm going to do a new moon online.
Oh, good. I'm so
And I'm
glad.
going to do a full moon, the next full moon, which is going to be 8/11. And I'd love to do that in an outdoor space. So I'll be tapping into the internet. Yes, I said it, social media.
It's
Just to
not
let
just
you
cool,
know,
right?
just to let you know,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be on there every day. Just to let you know if you like to tap in and learn some, you know, for me, I'm doing what I do and what I've learned to do. But my hope and my desire is that each of us learn to create our own rituals and our own sacred spaces, as you have said, which is why I was eager to do it. And that way we'll have things that we can pass on and things that what we learn what works for us and what does not work for us. And then we get to choose and then we get to pass it on, which is very exciting to me. I can see a world. I already am looking at the world in my meditations, how it could be if nobody never had to go to the hospital again.
Ashe.
My grandmother did. They went out and plucked leaves and stuff, right? And
Yep.
drank teas. And
Ashe.
so we can do it because they did it before.
Ashe. And no, we have the knowledge. It's not Ashe. Let's recapture it. So here's my, can you just repeat, tell us your website and the dates? And I will also, once you say it, I'll
Sure.
put it up in
I'm
the.
on both Facebook and Instagram as sacred_intonations. And the website is sacredintonations.org, www.sacredintonations.org. The new moon sacred circle will be on July the 28th, and the full moon will be August the 11th.
And they're both online? You said the first one's online and the second one's in person?
Second one's in person.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And we'll be wearing our whites for completion, for inspiration, for meditation, for peace, and for light.
I love it. I love it. I love the whites. I love the whites. And if you're interested in learning more about calling your ancestors, dreams and divination, rites and rituals, shadow and spirit, and medicine, myth, and magic, I am hosting a 5-session masterclass series that starts next Wednesday, July 6th, next Wednesday. You can purchase separate sessions, or you can purchase the whole bundle. I will also drop a link here in the chat. It's going to be a fabulous class. Fabulous. They're easy access. You can either one and done. That they're designed to get you in, get you nourished, and then to not give you homework. That's what they're designed for. Get you nourished and keep you going about your life. So I just want to express my deep level of gratitude. I don't know if we have said this or if people know this, but we're in the process of making the second Black Goddess Within Oracle deck, and Mama Beverly is a goddess in the deck. I'm not going to tell you which goddess, but she is in the deck. And when I tell you that her presence in the programming week to week with all the other ladies in the program on the pilgrimage, and then when we actually gathered in person, like Mama Beverly's a force, y'all. She's being very calm, but there's so much energy. There's the force field that comes with her. And so I just need y'all to know that these images are fire, and Mama Beverly's in particular, she's bringing all of the elder fire, and it's just, I cannot wait to share it with you. So thank you. I will thank you, Mama Beverly, for your participation and
Thank
for
you.
your generosity with your prayers and your words and your wisdom. And I'm really glad to know that we here in the Los Angeles community and in the Los Angeles African and drum and dance community in particular, that we have your beauty and your light to guide us.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for helping me along this road. It's been a pleasure. I have grown, and I will continue to grow.
Ashe. Ashe. Oh, she's dinging? We can't hear it. One more time. There you go. We heard it that time. All right, I'm going to stop the live stream. Thank you for calling. Thank you for watching. If you are watching the replay, please put #replay in the comments. I am Dr. Giavanni Washington, and this is Mama Beverly Brewster, and we have spoken to you today about the magic of the sacred dimension, because there's many. All right, speak soon. Bye.
Asheo!
Okay, I think we have stopped the live stream. Oh, China got on. Delightful. Okay.
Okay,
All right.
cool.
Beverly, you're fantastic.
That was awesome.
Yeah, we went around the world, but that's what happens. I love it.
Okay, well, I mean, we're gonna take a nap.
No, it's great. No, it's really, really good. And actually, I didn't go all the way with my comment, but I am. The short version is I watch a lot of TV, and there are reasons for that. Um, before I met my husband, I watched 1 hour of TV a week, and it was Grey's Anatomy. And we had rabbit ears because I wasn't going to pay for cable, and he worked for the
Yes.
cable company, and so he actually brought me a dish, and then all of a sudden I had all this
Oh,
TV. Um, but over the years, my TV consumption has really increased, and I think through COVID it got worse, and
yeah. Everybody
I,
did.
but I'm like, you can tell, like when you start talking about numbing, I was like, oh, she's talking to me.
Oh yeah. Well, I did it with food, so don't even, no
Oh, I'm sure I
judgment.
do it with food too. Food and TV, they kind of go
Yeah.
together sometimes.
But I kind of I do watch TV, but I don't watch it every day and I don't watch it. Uh, so what I do is I do focused television. Like I'll watch the Kings and Queens of the Nile. I may watch a reality show, but I'm only going to watch one and I turn the commercials down. I mute them. Every so often, I'll watch a movie, or sometimes, like if my daughter comes to town, I'll binge, we'll do Netflix. But other than that, like my TV haven't been on today. I don't think it was on yesterday. If it was, I went to sleep. It's just the constant barraging of the information that
Yeah.
we don't have no shield against it.
No.
And then it's like boom, boom, and it's always like negative. Somebody getting shot, somebody getting killed, Black people getting this, Karens, and that. I was starting to feel angry.
Yeah.
That's how I started the meditation during my first meditation. I started because of that. Like, and then people were calling me, and I was like, you know what? I can't really help everybody, but we can go get still, and we can figure it out. And that's really how I really kind of got more focused. And in the middle of the pandemic is when I started the nonprofit. That's when I filed the paperwork. I
It's
was like,
interesting. I've been still for the last almost 2 weeks, and the stuff that's starting to come out of me, like the writing, I'm like, oh, like you need to rest. You need to be not moving. You need to be um not functioning, just pushing through and hurrying up and doing all the things. Because I mean, like I just couldn't move, right? And so
right,
there's a level of it's helping me see that the amount of nourishment, because right now I'm just resting to like get better, but then I need to rest to be rested, right?
right.
And so like the amount of resting that takes it's actually quite remarkable. And but watching TV is not restful.
No, it's not. And you're getting them same rates from the phone that you're getting from the TV. So
Yeah.
when you watch, you can't go to sleep. You have to kind of turn the TV off and then go to sleep.
Yeah.
That's what I noticed. And even, the body is amazing. I learned that when I had cancer because my cells, I would talk to my cells. I
Mm,
would talk to whenever you're resting and you're in a state of rest, your cells rejuvenate.
a shame.
So that's another way of healing that I didn't talk about. But I'm just saying, like, all of those things go together. So and I when I was down those 6 months last year, when I had that injury and that surgery, that taught me too. Like I was doing too much. I felt like that was a spiritual initiation for me. Like it slayed me to my back. So I couldn't do all that stuff. And even now, that's why I said today when I sent you that, I'm like, I have to take my time because if I miss, I'm rushing, I'm gonna fall. I had a couple of falls like right before that or during the time once they had done the surgery because I'm not as mobile. So that's why I stay in the pool twice a week. I was there this morning at 9 o'clock, walk in, doing laps. I was in there like an hour and a half. I'm like, I gotta get my body together, and when I'm feeling like my date runner has so much stuff in it, I'd be like, no, something not gonna get done today. Something not gonna get
Listen,
done today.
something is not going to get done today. And that, well, this
That's
is
it.
time.
And I'm good with that now.
It's
Before I'll
okay.
be stressing, and I'll take a small nap and get up, and the next thing I know, it's the next day. I've been up for 24 hours, 30. I was hurting I can't do it no more. I
I
won't.
literally texted a friend the other day and said, I mean, today maybe, or yesterday, and said, oh, I'm going to read you the text. I was like, here's my random, not so random thought of the day. Is this still, I don't need to record this.
No.